Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us today in the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we will be covering Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 58, Lord Kṛṣṇa Marries 5 Princesses. Please join us for Jai Radha Madhava prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Hare Krishna. Kantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnavind ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jaya Mudiryet.
Tato Jayamudiryet.
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu.
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya.
Bhagavate Uttam Shloke.
Bhagavate Ruttam Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtake.
Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki.
Shabtam Swakatha Krishna.
Shautam Sakatha Krishna.
Punya Shavana Kirtanaha.
Punya Shravana Kirtana.
Hridayantasto He Bhadrani.
Hridayantasto Bhadrani.
Vidunote Suhasatam.
Vidunoti Surutsatam.
Hare Krishna. Please join us today in this class of Srimad Bhagavatam study, where we will be covering Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, chapter 58. Lord Kṛṣṇa marries 5 princesses. So please join us for the recitation of the first mantra. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shukuvacha.
Ekada Pandavan Drashtum.
Ekada Pandavan Drishtum.
Pratitan Purushottamaha.
Pratitan Purushottama.
Indraprastham Gata Shriman.
Indraprastham Gata Shriman.
Yuyudhana Divirvrata.
Yuyudhana Debirvrita.
Please.
Shri Shukuvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Ekada Pandavan Drishtum.
Ekada Pandavan Drishtum.
Pratitan Purushottama.
Pratitan Purushottamaha.
Indraprastham Gata Shriman.
Indraprastham Gataha Shriman.
Yuyudhana Debirvrata.
Yuyudhana Divirvrataha. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shukuvacha.
Shri Shukdev Goswami said,
Shri Shukdev Goswami said,
Ekada,
Ekada,
once,
Pandavan,
the sons of Pandu,
the sons of Pandu,
Drashtum,
Drashtum,
to see, Pratitan,
Pratitan,
visible, Purusha Uttamaha,
Purusha Uttama,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Indraprastham,
Indraprastham,
to Indraprastha, the Pandavas' capital,
the Pandavas' capital,
Gataha,
Gata,
went, Shriman, the possessor of all opulence,
the possessor of all opulence,
Yuyudhan Adibhir,
Yuyudhan Adivir,
by Yuyudhan Satyaki and others,
by Yuyudhan Satyaki and others,
Vrataha,
Vrita,
accompanied. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shukdev Goswami said, once the supremely opulent personality of Godhead went to Indraprastha to visit the Pandavas, who had again appeared in public. Accompanying the Lord were Yuyudhan and other associates. Purport: almost everyone except Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram had thought the Pandavas perished in the fire set by Duryodhan in the house of Lak. Now the Pandavas had appeared again in public and Krishna was paying them a visit. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshitarine. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatadham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So wonderful lessons right there we get in the very first verse. So there was a great rumor that had spread about Lord Krishna in the previous two chapters regarding Samantika jewel. So, and Satrajit spread that rumor. So similarly, when the palace of Lac was burned down, at that time there was another great rumor was spread. And it was, not just in Hastinapur, but it was spreading all around in the neighboring kingdoms, and the news even reached Dwarka. And Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram immediately left for Hastinapur. And what was that news? That the Pandavas and Queen Kunti, they have been burned down. So they were burned in the palace of Lac, and they lost their lives. And at that time, even though Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram knew, they still visited to sympathize with the grieving relatives like Bhishma Pitamaha, Vidur and others. Now here, another rumor spread that Pandavas were not burned down, they were safe. And then they physically appeared. So this is where Lord is showing in this very first verse, is revealing His blessing to His devotees. He's eager to meet His devotees. He's always eager. So He already knew that all the Pandavas are safe, and Queen Kunti, she is safe, who happens to be His aunt from the paternal side. She is Vasudev's sister, Lord Krishna's father, Vasudeva. So they immediately left to meet the Pandavas and Queen Kunti. So there are some amazing lessons we hear in this particular chapter. And one of the important lessons is that Lord Krishna is constantly reciprocating with His devotees. He reciprocates with His devotees. He is always ready to bless His devotees. He is waiting for us to turn towards Him, and serve Him with love and devotion. So the purpose of life is to serve. So it is worth to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, Lord Shri Vasudeva. Why? Because if we are not serving Him, then automatically we are serving Maya. And when we are not in Krishna consciousness, then we are constantly in material consciousness. So that's also another way Srila Prabhupada said, non-Krishna consciousness. So this is where we call Bahirmukha. We have turned our back towards Krishna. And in that mode, what are we thinking? We are thinking that the only purpose of life is to work, to maintain our family relatives, to maintain the house, to maintain the car, to maintain a bank balance, and to maintain the business or various endeavors that we are looking forward to. However, these will automatically be satisfied if we just turn our face towards Krishna. Just like the Pandavas, they were facing all kinds of calamities. Yet at the same time, they were constantly surrendered at the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva. And Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So that's why Pandavas were referred to as Mahatmas. And even Yudhishthira Maharaj, when Lord Krishna comes, he is revealing to him that what pious activities did we perform that we have your association, we have your blessings, that you are constantly reciprocating with us in this loving manner, protecting us constantly. And Queen Kunti also reciprocates with that same mood. So that is something we have to learn from the Pandavas, who are constantly engaged in their various activities. So we'll quickly cover the chapter, and then we'll be touching, in depth at the various lessons that we hear. And also we'll be picking up some additional details that are given in other Puranas, other scriptures. So here, the first lesson we hear is, again, that Lord is ready to reciprocate with His devotees. He is just waiting for us. And Lord Krishna is considered same as sun, and Maya is said as
andhakar, right? Darkness. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakara Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikara. So Lord Krishna is like the sun and Maya is like the darkness. So where there is sun, there cannot be darkness. And how do we understand this? That when there is sun shining outside and we stand facing the sun, then we cannot see any darkness. We basically see everything shining. So this is when we are anukulena Krishna. So when we are serving the Lord the way He desires, it's not that we are whimsically doing it. So we are serving the Lord the way He desires. And to be able to serve the Lord the way He desires, we need to get the proper instructions. We cannot do it whimsically. Not even picking a book, brother. We have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. And then we get the instructions as how to serve Lord Krishna. And we follow those spiritual master's instructions so that we can continue to progress. Our vehicle on our spiritual journey accelerates heavily, very strongly. Bhakti Lata Beach, when sowed in the soft, ready soil of our heart, grows, sprouts and grows quickly. So that is the mode. So when we are looking at sun, so that is being identified. And Maya Haya Andhakara, how do we understand? When we are turned back to sun. So when sun is on our back, all we see is our shadow. Then we see our shadow, and sometimes we think that this shadow is us. So that is Maya. That we think that this body that we have received is us. Instead of understanding that this body has, is under the influence of the three modes of material nature and has various relationships, and we have to perform our prescribed duties. Just like Pandavas, they were constantly performing their prescribed duties. Yet at the same time, do it as an offering to Lord Shri Krishna. So they were constantly meditating on Lord Shri Krishna. They were doing it as an offering. Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi tadasi yat. Yat tapasyasi kante yatat kurishva madapranam. So Lord Krishna reveals to Arjuna that whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever austerities you perform, whatever you give away, do it as an offering to me. So everything, all activities should be dovetailed towards Krishna as an offering to Lord Shri Krishna. So Lord Krishna is in the center, not us or our senses. And when we serve Lord Krishna, who is also known as Rishikesha, he is the master of the senses, all our senses are automatically satisfied. And thus we attain peace and happiness. So Lord Krishna, hearing that Pandavas are there, he goes to Indraprastha. So there is something subtle hidden here. What is that? That when Pandavas came back, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, they were very disappointed. So at that time they had to give, because Pandavas had already expressed that they are willing to share the kingdom with Kauravas, with Duryodhana. So the kingdom, Hastinapur and the related kingdom, the land was split into two halves. And there was a barren land and filled with forest and barren land. So that particular part was Indraprastha. So that was given to Pandavas. So this is another place where Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana are giving them the worst part of the land. So they are giving them a barren land. There is no population, no way they can continue to rule. And Pandavas, they are making an effort to clear up this land, to just get it ready. And so they clear up the land and they set up basic amenities. And Lord Krishna this time, even though there are all kind of amenities in Hastinapur, there are palaces in Hastinapur, a lot of populace and everyone is there. Yet Pandavas have set up this barren land with, Khandava forest and other places. So he is visiting Indraprastha, the place of Pandavas, not of Hastinapur where Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana and all those personalities are there. So Lord is reciprocating with his devotees. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. As one surrenders unto me, I reciprocate accordingly, Lord Krishna is saying. However, with his devotees who are constantly surrendered, Lord says that they are in his heart and he is in their heart. So Lord Krishna is reciprocating by going to a place which is not very well established. And he and Lord Balaram, Yuyudhan, all these personalities, they come. And when Pandavas, they see Lord Krishna in Indraprastha, they get up and they embrace Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna is embracing them. Such a beautiful, and there is a metaphorically, Shukdev Goswami is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. And he is speaking in such a poetic manner, just like when the body comes back into consciousness, all the senses are enlivened. So, Lord Krishna is their heart and soul. These Pandavas are like the senses. And when, the body comes into consciousness, when does body come into consciousness? When Lord is present, right? And He awakens us. So this can be taken in a poetic manner, that when they saw Lord Shri Krishna, who is their heart and soul, they became enlivened, they became joyful, they became jubilant, and immediately embraced Lord Shri Krishna, seeing Him reciprocating with them. And Yuyudhan, Satyaki also came along with Lord Krishna. So he is a general of, Yadava army. So the armies of the Yadavas. Now Satyaki is so impressed, so this is also another aspect which is hidden, is so impressed by the devotion of Pandavas that he ends up staying with them for a long duration. So when at the end Duryodhana gets, at Kurukshetra the war is happening, and at that time Duryodhana gets the whole army, the Yadava army. However, Yuyudhan had become a close associate of Pandavas. So that's why in first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the 6th verse talks about the Duryodhana is saying on the other side, there are warriors like Drupad and Yuyudhan. So he has been identified, Satyaki. So he had never faced defeat in his life. Satyaki was on the side of Pandavas. So it is very interestingly given that, even the devotee of the Lord attracts other personalities and other devotees. So that is a blissful manner, because birds of same feather fly together. There is a common saying in Western world. And so here, when a devotee sees another devotee of the Lord, they become enlivened, they become jubilant. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was on his travel to South India, wherever he went, he made everyone Krishna conscious. Everyone was chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So everyone was jubilantly chanting, with happiness and dancing. So this is where Srila Prabhupada said that all these boys and girls, when they are dancing, it is not a mundane dance. He was revealing this is transcendental ecstasy. They're experiencing this happiness, and that's why they're getting up and they're chanting and the holy name. So the first international Sankirtan party that went with 20-some devotees from US to with various stoppages in in the middle in their travel to Bombay. At that time, the devotees would go out and chanting on the streets. And when Srila Prabhupada said, he was so happy to see. And he expresses that it felt like, these boys and girls have just come from Vaikuntha. His spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, has mercifully sent him all these boys and girls who are, chanting the holy name, and thus they are turning into pure Vaishnavas. So that is the mood. A devotee becomes jubilant when they see another devotee of the Lord, glorifying Lord so nicely. And this is where we actually express our gratitude to our spiritual master, with whose mercy we are able to proceed further on our path. Otherwise, we have no capability. It's only the mercy of the spiritual master that we make progress. And that is the instruction Lord Krishna gives to Arjuna. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya updekshanti tajjnanam jnanena tattadashta. Tad vidhi pranipatena. As per the process. Vidhi means process. Vidhi, when you do. Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. We surrender. So he is giving this instruction to Arjuna, but it's meant for all of us, that there is a process. That one should surrender at the lotus feet of the spiritual master and serve them and humbly inquire from them. So the inquiry has to be placed humbly with the mood of understanding the spiritual science, not in the mood of challenging, saying that, oh, I know this, do you know this? That is the wrong attitude. Once Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture and there was a student at the university. He stood up and he says, why do you put this tilak on your forehead? And Srila Prabhupada said, why do you wear a tie? He got confused. He looked at his tie, couldn't answer, and just sat down. And afterwards, after the lecture, when Srila Prabhupada, met this young man, he came to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada gave him instruction. When you ask a question, you should not ask in a challenging manner. You should ask in a humble manner, so that you want to inquire something, you want to learn something, you want to understand that we have pure intelligence, and unless the secrets are revealed to us by the acharyas, by the bona fide spiritual master, we have no hope. So we are hoping against hope that we get the shelter of first spiritual master. Then we are hoping against hope that we attain Lord Kṛṣṇa. And how can we attain? How can this hope come to life? How does it come to life? When we serve our spiritual master, when we carry out his instructions. So there are two ways to serve spiritual master. One is we serve his physical being, right? And then the second is when we serve his instructions, when we understand his instructions and we carry out his instructions. So that is even considered higher by carrying out the instructions of the spiritual master. And of course, when spiritual master is present, we should make every effort to serve his physical being. So here, Lord Kṛṣṇa himself, the supreme spiritual master of the universes and all that be, he has come. And all the Pandavas are embracing him. And then Lord Kṛṣṇa is now showing, because he appeared, in Yadu dynasty as cousin of Pandavas. So now he is showing how to carry out the duties by his own example that we should follow. When he sees Yudhishthira Maharaj and Bhim, who was elder than him, he touches their feet. This is Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is saying, yes, we are carrying out spiritual activities, but don't forget that the body also has a prescribed set of duties, and those prescribed duties must be performed to the best of one's ability. He touches their feet because they are elder, right? Elder cousins. Then Arjuna embraces Lord Kṛṣṇa because they are of the same age. And then Nakul and Sahadev, they touch the lotus feet of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa because they are younger to him. And then Lord Kṛṣṇa asks about their welfare, and they ask about Lord Kṛṣṇa's welfare and the welfare of the relatives in Dwarka. And then Lord Kṛṣṇa goes to meet Queen Kunti. And when she sees Lord Kṛṣṇa, she starts weeping. And these are the transcendental tears where she is saying that it is only by your mercy that we are constantly saved. And that I knew as soon as you sent my brother Akrur, right? Akrur is Lord Kṛṣṇa's uncle and happens to be, cousin of Queen Kunti. Then she says that as soon as I heard that, I saw Akrur and that you had sent him, I knew that you are constantly remembering us. So Lord never forgets his devotees. A devotee may sometimes get bewildered and forget, but Lord is never, in this mood to ever forget us. He loves us so much so that even though we have turned our back towards him and come to this material world and become conditioned and thinking that I am this body and my duty is to serve my family, my duty is to serve the society, and various isms come in. Socialism, patriotism, and so many other factors come in, and sometimes people get offended. But that is the truth. So we, associate with the body in a conditioned state of mind, not realizing that we have a constitutional position as well. Nothing wrong with carrying out your prescribed duties, but forgetting constitutional duty is the major offense that we commit. And we should not forget it. Once Srila Prabhupada was giving Srimad Bhagavatam class, and one of the disciples says that sometimes, we get in material consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada laughed and rebuked him, saying that most of the time we are in material consciousness. Sometimes, very few times we actually happen to be in Krishna consciousness. Realizing our constitutional position, Jivera Saruphoya Krishnera Nityadas, that the constitutional position of a living entity is that one is an eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. So one should serve with that attitude that we are eternal servant of Lord Krishna, and all the prescribed duties should be performed as an offering to Lord Shri Krishna. So everything needs to be dovetailed. So here they are expressing, Queen Kunti is expressing her gratitude, because the moment she saw Lord Krishna, she knew that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Acharya has revealed this to us, that she knew that he is appearing as her nephew, but at the same time, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so he is so happy. She's transcendently, she's feeling happiness, the bliss, and she's, with that thought that Lord never forgets his devotees. He is constantly reciprocating with his devotees. And so Srila Prabhupada, he explains again and again in his various instructions he gives us and his various classes that we can so easily see on YouTube, on prabhupadvani.org and so many websites. He's constantly, the instructions are there that we can learn as how Lord is so merciful, reciprocating with his devotees, that he has put all his potencies, all his opulences in his holy name. Aminnatvam nama namino. So Lord's name is not different from Lordship himself. So when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then we are constantly calling out to Lord. And when we chant it attentively and we are constantly immersed with this mood of gratitude, with love and devotion, and we want to serve Lord, then he's dancing on our tongue. And it's such a simple process. You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to engage in heavy rituals. All you need to do is raise your hand and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And with that mood, Tranadapi Shunichena Tarurapi Sahishnuna Amanena Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Lord Krishna himself, Andar Krishna, Bahir Radha. So he is Krishna himself with an outer covering of Radharani, the golden complexion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He appears, with the golden covering of Radharani. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi. So Radharani's complexion is just like molten gold. And he's telling us, he's giving us, he's revealing this great secret to us, that when we chant the holy name, when we engage in devotional service, we should think ourselves to be more humble than the grass. So be humbler than the grass and be more tolerant than the tree. So the grass you walk on doesn't, rebuke you back, saying, why are you crushing me? And the tree, when it's cut, it doesn't, defend itself. Rather, it is constantly in the mood of giving. So the tree is constantly giving. So that's the mood of a devotee. To be always humble and be always tolerant. And in that mood, one can chant the holy name eternally. Kirtaniya Sadahari. So one can glorify the Lord eternally. So in this mood, we can continue to make progress in a spiritual journey and continue to move ahead. Sometimes people say, Prabhu, this is so hard. It is so hard to just, sit down and chant 16 rounds. Then there is a very nice instruction given by Srila Prabhupada. So this is a conditioning. Actually, the process is very easy. We are making it hard. And Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example that a man was walking by and suddenly he sees there are like a elephant caretaker. He has many elephants. And all these elephants have been tied just by one leg by a very thin rope. So this traveler, he observes and he says to the elephant caretaker, hey, this rope is so weak. The elephants can easily break it with one jerk and they can go out. And then the elephant caretaker, he smiles. He says, actually, when these elephants were small, at that time, this rope was sufficient to hold them. So they tried pulling it, they couldn't get away from it. So even though they have grown up and they've become so powerful, they still have that memory when they were children, when they were young elephants, they couldn't break this rope. So they think that they cannot break this rope, so this rope is sufficient to tie them. That reveals our conditioning. Because when we are born and when we get conditioned in this material world, when we hear going to school especially, that the whole purpose of this life is to get nice job, get nice family, get a beautiful wife, have wonderful children, and continue to engage in struggle by getting right job and, making money and keeping the bank balance to provide to the family. And what is the purpose? At the end of our life, everything is going to be stolen away. So at the moment of death, everything is gone. So whatever you have accumulated, so whatever you gained. So we should not lose our soul in the process of trying to make a living. And even this living is referred to by the acharyas as pavarga. So pravarga is where pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. So this is the 5 letters that appear in our, what do you say, the swar and vyanjan, among the vyanjan. So pa stands for parishram. So we engage in a lot of endeavor to sustain ourselves. So this is the mode of survival. So this is giving us the formula. What happens to a person who is conditioned in this material world? So the person continues to perform a lot of endeavors, parishram. And when you perform a lot of parishram, just like horses, they have this foaming in the mouth, phena. So that's the next phase. So by so much endeavor, one starts to develop, the phena, the foaming in the mouth. That happens. And when the foaming happens, you can understand it's like very bad situation. And one gets bewildered. So that's where one gets Brahma. So that happens. So one gets bewildered in this because you are continuously, the conditioned soul is working so heavily, trying to survive in this material world, but not getting enough results, getting really tired and trying to do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, constantly taking on harder work, right? And at the same time is bewildered because seeing that so much work but no results, and whatever results is quickly taken away by other living entities, and constantly bewildered in that manner, so he becomes fearful. He doesn't have enough shelter. So bha is where bhaya comes in. The fear gets into the heart of such a conditioned soul, and he is living in anxiety day and night, lamenting about the past and aspiring for the future. So that is because of the anxiety in the heart, and that anxiety finally leads one to death. Mrityu. Ma is mrityu. Ma. Ma means mrityu. So one dies in this state. What is the use of living a life where you're trying to survive and you gain nothing in the process? Radha is the path of apavarga. Apavarga is where you engage in devotional service. When you take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna and he is ready to reciprocate, then you have a wealth in the kingdom of God. And this wealth is never lost. We hear so many examples that how this wealth is never lost. We hear the example of Bharat Maharaj, who was engaged in devotional service. He attained to the bhav form, but then he fell down because of his affection to the baby deer. And so he received the body of a deer because at the last moment of his life he thought of that deer. And then even in the body of deer he remembered his previous birth. So that is the mercy of the Lord that we get. And so when he again gets a human form of life, he is born as Jad Bharat, son of a Brahman. He engages in devotional service and attains perfection. So we hear that, even as Jad Bharat, he remembered his life as a deer, and his previous life, that of deer, was as Maharaj Bharat, who was the emperor of the world. So these are some amazing lessons we hear, and how Lord is reciprocating with his devotees. Now Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the series of events, and then Srila Jiva Goswami also explains the following set of events. So the first thing that happens is that Yudhishthira Maharaj, he is requesting Lord Krishna to stay with them for the 4 months of rainy season, Chaturmasya they are called. So during that period, he is requesting Lord Krishna to stay with them. And Lord Krishna, seeing a sincere devotee requesting, he agrees to it. He agrees to it with the purpose that his mission as Lord Vasudeva, he has appeared as son of Vasudeva, is that he has to relieve the burden of the earth. So he has to relieve the earth of the burden of the demoniac kings. And he's using that as an opportunity. And he's going to bewilder all the demoniac kings of the world during this stay itself. How does he do that? That's very interesting. Right? The first thing is, he has Vishwakarma building a beautiful city of Indraprastha. So the barren land is suddenly becoming so wonderfully enlivened with this beautiful city of palaces and gardens and big column gates and so forth. So Vishwakarma, he is the architect of the demigods. So he is building this city. You can imagine how wonderful this city would be. Then the next event that happens is Khandava forest incident, where Lord Krishna and Arjun, they go out and they are at the bank of Yamuna. And at that time, a personality comes and he has got very fair golden complexion and reddish hair. and his reddish hair are pointing upward. So you would think, who's this? There's a hint already. He has a golden reddish hair. So it's a mix, golden reddish color. This is none other than Agni Dev. He comes and he is paying obeisances to Lord Shri Krishna. And so these are in other scriptures. So Srimad Bhagavatam touches it very in summary. So here, Agni Dev, knowing that Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the demigods knew that Lord had appeared and is living in Dwarka as one of the Yadavas, as one of the resident of in Yadu dynasty, just like a human being. So he's performing his supreme pastime, appearing as a human being. So Lord Krishna appears in his original form. It is only the mundane philosophers who think that he has become a human being. So that is something we also understand. And Agni Dev is requesting Lord Krishna that please help him with this indigestion. Because of all the sacrificial offerings that he has been receiving, people have been putting in the fire, he is facing indigestion. So when we eat a lot, we face indigestion. And this is very interesting, that yesterday was Pandav Nirjala Ekadashi. So after Pandav Nirjala Ekadashi, where you can't even have water, when the duration comes to break the Ekadashi, people have, they are ready for feasting. And then they overeat and then they have indigestion. So the devotees know the secret that it's very simple, that when you didn't take even water, water is sufficient to break the fast. So taking, a couple of glasses of water and then resting a bit before you really take any meal is a very good system, way to let the system settle itself after this Ekadashi. And when we eat food, we should still eat it in regulated manner, because Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita, one who eats too much or eats too little, one who sleeps too much and sleeps too little, and one who does recreation too much or too little. Means everything needs to be regulated in our life. And when we talk about recreation, materialists, they think, so Hare Krishna devotees, they are, seeking to have recreation. Their aspect of recreation is messed up. Srila Prabhupada reveals it to us. All we need to do is chant, dance and eat prasadam. That is recreation, a perfect program given to us by our preeminent Acharya and founder Acharya of ISKCON and preeminent Shiksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada. So he is giving us this perfect arrangement, perfect program, where all we need to do is dovetail everything in Lord Krishna's service. And so we feel jubilant. We are constantly chanting the holy name, we are constantly dancing, hearing various kirtans, and then when we get tired and we are ready for prasadam, we are feeling hungry, then we honor prasadam. Even honoring prasadam is called prasadam seva. So it is also a devotional service. Now can you imagine? There are so many ways you can perform devotional service. Anything that you do, you can dovetail. But it has to be anukulena Krishna anushilenam. So it has to be as Lord Krishna desires, anukul, not pratikul. Not prescribed. But anushilenam is also in following the footsteps of acharyas, which is taking shelter of their lotus feet, taking shelter of their instructions, not anukaran, anusharan. Anukaran is imitating a devotee. Anusharan is taking shelter of their lotus feet, of their instructions and following their instructions, understanding their mood, how they please Lord Krishna and how Lord Krishna is reciprocating. So we are hearing. So Agni Dev has a special place in Lord's heart, because Lord Krishna, his Sudarshan Chakra, he had placed in guardianship of Agni Dev, and he had provided that back to Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna says yes, and he wants Arjun to do this activity. So this is not the first time when it was at Kurukshetra that Lord became Partha Sarthi, the charioteer of Partha. Partha is son of Pritha. And who's son of Pritha in this case? Arjun. It was at this place for the Khandava forest. Now, Agnidev reveals that if he tries to do that on his own, then he will not be able to do it. Why? Because there is a snake Takshak, son of Kadru. He lives there. And Takshak happens to be a very good friend of Lord Indra, the king of demigods. And so, as soon as Agni would try to devour this forest, Indradev will pour torrential rain. So he will not be successful in his attempts. And why does he want to devour the whole forest? Because there are various herbs in this forest that will help Agnidev, the fire god, with his indigestion. So it will remove the indigestion symptoms and help him with his digestion. So this is a place where Agnidev provides Arjun with the proper, the 4 white horses-based chariot, and that is capable of winning in all 10 directions. And so this is where Arjun is mounting as a warrior, and he also gives 2 the container of the arrows, right? Tarkash, yes. So that's where, with those celestial divine weapons he gives. And then he gives Gandiva, bow, to Arjun to fight. And who is the charioteer? Lord Kṛṣṇa himself is the charioteer. And what are they doing? They are making sure that Indradev is not able to pour torrential rain. And even if they pour torrential rain, it will not a drop will be able to touch the Khandava forest. So Arjun creates this perfect net on top of this forest, covering, so if there is any rain that's coming, it will be stopped from dropping on the forest. So Agnidev can start to do. And as Agnidev starts, taking in the forest, including the herbs, Indra, knowing that Takshak is living there to save his friend, and Takshak wasn't at that place at this particular time, he was somewhere else, so he was not there, but Indradev thinking, he starts pouring rain. And seeing that rain is not affecting Khandava forest, he comes on his own Aravat along with other demigods, and he's fighting with Arjun, because Arjun is stopping him. Now, Indradev happens to be seminal father of Arjun, and Arjun happens to be seminal son of Lord Indradev, and they are fighting. So this is where we see a father and son are fighting, and Arjun is not bewildered. Why? Because he has Kṛṣṇa on his side, and his purpose is not to kill. His purpose is only to stop. So Arjun is looking at his mission, and Lord Kṛṣṇa is looking at his mission, that Arjun has to show his prowess, he has to show his skill, and he has to hone his skill as well. He has to make them sharp. So by Lord's mercy, he is showing Arjun that this is the same arrangement he's going to get at Kurukshetra, and how he has to learn to fight in that particular same chariot, same horses, same pataka. And Arjun's pataka, the flag, always carried Kapi, Lord Hanuman. So Kapi Dhwaj is his another name, Arjun's name. So one whose chariot is marked by a flag with the sign of Hanuman. So here Arjun is fighting so nicely, and Agnidev is able to devour. However, at the same time, what happens is there is a Danav, a demon in this forest, Maya Danav. Now, just like Vishwakarma is the architect of the demigods, Maya is also has various mystical powers and is the architect of the demons. So Lord Kṛṣṇa, he saves Maya Danav from getting burned. He was surrounded by this fire as Agnidev is devouring the whole forest, and he was there where he was not supposed to be. Wrong place at the wrong time, but in the presence of right person, and Lord Kṛṣṇa, being merciful to Maya Danav, saves him. So after Agnidev has devoured and feeling that his indigestive issue has been solved, he is very happy. So he grants this chariot along with Gandiva, bow, and the Tarkash, the 2 containers of arrows, to Arjun, and says that he should use it. So this is what Arjun uses during Kurukshetra war. Now one of the interesting thing happens is Maya Danav has been saved by Lord Kṛṣṇa. So when Maya Danav bows down to Lord Kṛṣṇa, he says, how can I serve you? So Lord Kṛṣṇa points towards his devotee Arjun. He says, why don't you serve him? And Arjun, knowing that he's such a great architect, he says, Vishwakarma built a city, but we would like to have a assembly hall. So he gives this task to Maya Danav. And Maya Danav builds this amazing assembly hall, which was bewildering to normal human beings, because sometimes people would think that there is a wall. However, that was it's technology being shown, the 3D technology. And so they are doing, inviting others. And when Duryodhan comes with his brothers and his associates, he is shocked to see that this barren land has been turned into like a celestial city. Vishwakarma has built this celestial city, and people are pouring in, to become citizen of this city. So all of a sudden it is becoming more and more opulent. Another thing happens before this, invitation to others happens is that Lord Krishna and Arjun. So Arjun gets ready, and he's dressed as a warrior, and Lord Krishna is taking him to the forest, because Arjun has to learn how to shoot arrows, so he has to hone the skills as a Kshatriya. So they go together. Lord Krishna doesn't dress like that, he is simply dressed as he always dresses. Why is that? Because he has no need to learn how to shoot arrows. He is Atmaram, he is self-sufficient, he is omnipotent, he has all the potencies. All the potencies that we get, even Arjun gets, is coming from Lord Krishna, Paurusham Nishu. Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita that I am the ability in man. So he really wants Arjun to get ready for this great war to relieve the burden of the earth. Kurukshetra, the battle at Kurukshetra. So Arjun is dressed and he is going to the forest with Lord Krishna, and he's shooting, he's killing tigers, lions, bisons, rhinoceros, and various animals. And there is another purpose being given by the acharyas, that in the forest, Rishi Munis, the great sages and saints, they live, they have their ashrams, they have their huts in this kind of setting, in forest setting, because the forest setting is said to be in the mode of goodness. Right? Nightclub setting is in the mode of ignorance. The work setting is in the mode of passion. So when we go to work, we are like constantly surrounded with mode of passion. How can we prove ourselves to be better than everyone else? So there is a race going on there. So, in the mode of goodness, these sages are living there. They should not be disturbed by these ferocious animals like tigers and lions and so forth. So it is very important. A duty of a Kshatriya is to protect, the citizens of the kingdom. And this is also to protect the rishis, the brahmanas, who are living in the forest in mode of goodness. And so they are, carrying out this hunting skills and so forth, and then they are resting at the bank of Yamuna. And as they are resting, at that time, Lord Krishna and Arjun, they see that there is a beautiful maiden, she is a woman, she is walking. And at that time, Lord Krishna incites Arjun to go and ask, who is she and what's her purpose? So Arjun approaches her, saying that, who are you? It seems like you are just at the right age of marriage, and maybe you are looking for your groom. So she actually reveals to Arjun, knowing that yes, you are Arjun, I know. So Arjun is also known by the name Krishna. And Draupadi, she also paid obeisances to Lord Krishna when he had come to meet Pandavas. And she is known as Kṛṣṇa. So there is an A at the end. So Srila Prabhupada uses this very interestingly. So she is known as Kṛṣṇa, which means sister of Lord Krishna, because he accepted her as his sister. And Arjuna is known as Krishna, and Srila Prabhupada says all the devotees of the Lord are known as Krishnas. And this is so true, because as the Krishna consciousness movement spread in the West, everyone refers to devotees as Hare Krishnas. So we all belong to Srimati Radharani, who is our mother, and Lord Krishna, who is our father. So we are all known as Hare Krishnas. So this is how it is being nicely dovetailed back to, like, all the devotees are automatically associated with Lord by his name. So she is saying that she is waiting for Lord Vishnu to accept her as his bride. And so at that particular time, Lord Krishna, understanding, so this is where Acharyas reveal to us that when she makes this plea to Arjun to have Lord Krishna, who is none other than Vishnu, so he is the original, he is the source of all Vishnus, to accept her as his bride, Lord Krishna, understanding that when Arjun makes her plea to Lord Krishna, he accepts her. And this is where Srila Prabhupada is revealing that when we want to approach Lord, we may not be so easily accepted. But when we approach a devotee of Lord and serve that devotee and make requests to that devotee, to get us, in the shelter of Lord Shri Krishna, then Lord doesn't deny. So that's an easy path. So that's why we know as children that when we want to get something from our father, we normally make that plea to our mother. And when mother is making that plea because she has such compassion, the motherly love, and she has this always mood of giving, and she makes her plea on our behalf, our plea to our father finds it very hard to say no, right? He's always saying yes because he is so affectionate towards our mother. So similarly, towards a devotee, Lord is so inclined that, we easily get the mercy of Lord. So mercy of the Lord is also called prasad. So we get the mercy of the Lord, and so that we get engaged and we get the shelter of Lord Shri Krishna. So when Arjun makes this plea, she is accepted. And she actually reveals that she is daughter of who? Vivaswan, the sun god. And his father made her a wonderful palace in the river Yamuna. So she is none other than Kalindi, Yamuna river personified. And she's been, performing austerity in the river, in that palace and the water, so that she gets Lord Vishnu as her husband. And with the plea of Arjun, she is accepted by Lord Shri Krishna. He asks her to join him on the chariot. And of course, the various animals that were previously killed, the ones that were suitable for sacrifice, fire sacrifices, were sent by the servants to Yudhishthira Maharaj as he was getting ready to perform various sacrifices, as various guests are coming. So here, these pastimes are continuing to go on. There is again Rasuya sacrifice we'll discuss later on, because when this Mayadana builds this celestial assembly hall for the Pandavas, at that time Devashi Narad comes and then he glorifies, and Yudhishthira Maharaj asks if he has seen similar assembly halls, and he glorifies various assembly halls, the assembly hall of Varun Dev, assembly hall of Indra Dev, and that of Yamraj. And then something happens that triggers the reason why Rajsuya sacrifice is being performed, Rajsuya Yagya. So here, staying on this particular path, where Lord Krishna is, staying with the Pandavas for the 4 months, and one of the things is Indra becomes very blissful when he sees Arjun fighting him so nicely and even winning. So that is also a mood of Kshatriya. So Indra, as an administrator of the universe, is very happy to see his son Arjun, fighting so valiantly. And after he comes to know that Takshak is not there, of course he is double joyful, he is doubly jubilant that his friend is safe. So this is another incident that happens. This is also where Parikshit Maharaj is getting this hint that Takshak would be the snake who would be coming to bite him at the end of the 7 days, 7 nights, that he's fasting at the bank of Ganges, bank of Yamuna river. So after Sangam, Yamuna is also known as Ganges, because the Sangam of Ganga and Yamuna has happened. So here, Lord Krishna and Arjun, they return back, and then Lord Krishna asks for permission, and then he leaves. And after Lord Krishna leaves, he goes to Dwarka with his associates, and that's where he and Kalindi, they are married. So she is the 4th queen of Lord Shri Krishna. They are married and they are living very nicely. And then it just so happened that in the city of Avanti, there were 2 brothers who were ruling together. They were Vindhya and Anuvindhya. And they had a sister by the name Mitravindhya. And now Mitravindhya always wanted to have Lord Krishna as her husband. However, these 2 brothers, just like in the case of Rukmi, he was friend of Shishupal. He wanted to marry his sister Rukmini Devi to Shishupal. So similarly, these 2 brothers, Vrinda and Anuvinda, so they were friend of Duryodhan. So they were forbidding their sister to marry, Lord Krishna. She wanted Lord Krishna to be her husband, but they were saying no. So at this particular time, a Swayamvar ceremony has been planned. And out there, what happens is, Lord Krishna comes and he takes her away. So this is Rakshasi Vivaha, abducting the girl. Just like Rukmini Devi, she was kidnapped by Lord Shri Krishna. So she already was attracted to him, and so Lord Krishna is marrying Mitravinda. So she is his fifth wife. And so Lord Krishna is, after bringing, so more and more jubilant activities are happening. And Lord is constantly reciprocating with his devotees. So this is where we see constant reciprocation of Lord Shri Krishna with his devotees is going on. And the chapter continues further on and reveals as how there is another princess by the name Satya. And the king of Kaushal, who was also named as Nandajit, he wanted his daughter to be married. His daughter's name was Satya, who was also known by the name Nandajiti. So she wanted to, have Lord Krishna as her husband. So her father placed a very strong condition. All he said was that there are 7 these bulls have never been subdued by anyone. So whoever is able to subdue these 7 bulls simultaneously can marry my daughter. Many princes, many kings, they came from all over the place, all the neighboring kingdoms, and they tried. They couldn't win. And so Lord Krishna, understanding the mood of Satya, that she wanted him to be her husband, he goes and he visits the king of Kaushal. So he has approached Ayodhya, which is, so as the king comes to know that Lord Krishna has come, so Ayodhya is another name for Kaushal city. So as soon as the king of Kaushal, Nandajit, comes to know that Lord Krishna himself has come, he goes to welcome Lord Krishna, and then he welcomes Lord Krishna, he worships Lord Krishna, he knows that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he gives Lord Krishna, he seats him on a throne, beautiful seat. He worships Lord Krishna, he makes sure that Lord Krishna and his associates have a very nice arrangement to stay, like a palace, and also gives various palatable foodstuffs and various offerings to Lord Krishna. And so Lord Krishna is very happy to see that this devotee of mine understands me so nicely, and he is so devoted. So Lord Krishna is now in a mood of joke. So sometimes Lord Krishna desires to test his devotees as well. Lord Krishna says that I have an amazing blessing for you. And so the king is jubilant. What's the blessing? Lord Krishna is saying, in a smiling manner, that, we Yadus, we don't really, meet any conditions and all that stuff. But I'm ready to marry your daughter Satya. So now when Princess Satya, she hears it, she's jubilant. The king is jubilant, but then there is an interesting thing that Lord Krishna has said, that he doesn't like to meet any condition. And the king has taken a vow that whoever subdues these 7 bulls would be the man who would marry my daughter. So now King Satya is caught, right? This is Dharma Sankat. He is caught between the wall and a hard stone. And so this is the mood of a devotee. He is jubilant, but he places his plea in front of Lord Shri Krishna. He says, but I have taken a vow. So Lord Krishna, this is not a big deal for you. And this is where you will, save me from the words that I have taken up, right? So he's requesting Lord Krishna in a mood of a plea as a devotee that, please, I have taken this vow that whoever subdues these 7 bulls have never been subdued, put a noose through their nose, the rope through the nose, that personality would be able to marry my daughter. And so Lord Krishna smiles, understanding. And Princess Satya is meditating on Lord Vishnu. She's like, please, please, please make it happen. I want your blessing. And Lord reciprocates with her mood. So when Lord gets up, the king is pleased. Seeing that Lord is reciprocating with his mood, he is pleased and he's feeling elated. And Lord Krishna immediately expands into 7 Krishnas. So, and each one of them, so as many bulls, there are as many Krishnas there. And he goes and subdues each of the bull, putting a noose through their nose. And being subdued, the king and the daughter, the king Nandajit as well as Nandajiti, who is also known as Satya, they are very happy. and the king marries his daughter to Lord Shri Krishna. So, and in this marriage, he gives amazing dowry. So now dowry is a misused concept in current times. In the old times, a father would give dowry to his daughter to make sure that the daughter is comfortable in the place where she is going. And they would perform it as a charity. So even giving daughter is called a charity, Kanya Dan, and it is said to be one of the topmost charities. So once when there was Tulsi Shaligram Vivaha that was being performed in the temple, and we were given the opportunity, and the head priest approached us and he said, whose parents would you want to be? Lord Shaligram's parents or Tulsi's parents? At that time we chose Tulsi because Kanya Dan is said to be very highly regarded. And it is always a great offering. So we should make every offering to Lord Shri Krishna. As parents of Shaligram, when you are, in that role, the offering is very limited. While you have much better opportunity to honor the guest, to honor the side of the groom, and to serve the Lord by doing this charity. So we were so fortunate that we had that opportunity. And thanks to the devotees of Lord Krishna, Shri Radha Madan Mohan, that they gave us this wonderful opportunity to us. So here King Nagnajit, he is giving his dowry. So that has been described by Shukdev Goswami. So as a dowry, powerful King Nagnajit, he gave 10,000 cows, 3,000 young maidens of the same age as his daughter, wearing golden ornaments on their necks and bedecked in fine clothing, 9,000 elephants. So imagine 9,000 elephants, 100 times as many chariots. So as elephants. So if there are 9,000 elephants, there are 900,000 chariots have been given. And 100 times as many horses as chariots. And then that is 100 times more, which is 90 million horses have been given. And 100 times as many manservants as horses. So this is called slaves, right? Manservants as horses. So these are the manservants who have been given. So if they were 90 million, 100 times that is 9 billion. So you can imagine such a large, dowry that has been given by King Nagnajit as an offering, as a charity to Lord Shri Krishna when his daughter has been accepted by Lord Shri Krishna. So he's feeling so jubilant. Now what happens is, as Lord Krishna is returning back to Dwarka, all these kings and princesses who had not been able to claim Satya as their bride because they could not subdue any of the bulls, they joined forces, right? An enemy of an enemy is a friend. So that's the attitude they're having. So this is a very materialistic thinking. And so they all gather together and they want to fight with Lord Krishna to stop him. Yet on the side of Lord Krishna in this particular occasion is a great warrior, Arjun. And Arjun, along with the Yadavas armies, the army of the Yadus, he fights with all these princes and kings and he defeats them. So right then and there, Lord Krishna is carrying out with his mystic potency his mission of relieving the earth of the burden of the earth. And so Arjun is very nicely taking care of killing all these princes and kings and their armies. And Lord Krishna is very nicely able to go back to Dwarka. And once it just so happens that another princess by the name Bhadra, she is looking at Lord Krishna to be her husband. And at that time, Bhadra, she was the princess of the Kekaya kingdom. Now Kekaya happens...
How many more princesses?
2 more.
So we have covered 3 princesses.
Yes, we have covered 3 princesses. First one is Kalindi, River Yamuna. Second one is Mitravinda. And the third one is Satya. And now Bhadra is the princess of the Kekaya kingdom. So Kekaya, Srila Prabhupada reveals Kekai, she was from Russia. So this is that Russia area. So this is from the Kekaya kingdom. And she was the daughter of Lord Krishna's paternal aunt, Shutakirti. So Shrutakirti was sister of Vasudeva, and her daughter wanted Lord Krishna. So her brothers, so Shrutakirti's sons, they offered her Bhadra, their sister Bhadra, in marriage to Lord Shri Krishna. So he marries her. Now the last one, the fifth one that Lord Krishna is marrying, the fifth princess that is being discussed here is Lakshmana. Now in Lakshmana's marriage, as we'll also hear in the last few chapters where Draupadi meets Lord Krishna's wives, her Swayamvar was arranged just like Draupadi's Swayamvar was arranged. So this is very interesting scenario. In Draupadi's Swayamvar, Swayam is that the princess herself gets to decide who is going to be her groom. Var is groom. So the marriage ceremony is arranged. We have various warriors, the kings and princes from various kingdoms are welcome, and they have been given the opportunity to either there is a condition placed that they have to meet, just like in the case of Satya, they had to subdue 7 bulls. So that was the condition. So if this, subdue the 7 bulls, they get to marry the princess. However, none of them could do it, but Lord Krishna did it. And so he married Satya. And like in the case of Draupadi, Arjun, he had, he was given this water at the bottom, and in the reflection he has to see the rotating fish, and he has to pierce the eye. So many kings tried. Kṛṣṇa did not get the chance to try because Draupadi objected on his case that he is born of a Shudra, so he is not a Kshatriya. And so he didn't get the chance. Arjun got the chance, and he was appearing as a Brahman. He was disguised as a Brahman, and a Brahman is qualified to participate in such challenge. And so he pierces the eye of the fish, and so he was able to marry Draupadi. However, when Kunti, when they brought back to the place, the hut that they were living at as Brahmanas, they asked that, Mother, we have brought something, and Kunti, she said that whatever you have brought, you should share with, among the 5 brothers, you all share. And that's how Draupadi became wife of Pandavas, all 5 brothers. And her previous birth, she had performed a sacrifice, a great austerity 5 times, and she had received this boon that 5 different kind of personalities. And then at that time, when she asked Lord Krishna afterwards, how come I'm married to 5 brothers? Lord Krishna reveals that you asked for these 5 boons, and it was not possible for one person to have all these characteristics. Each of the Pandavas represented each of the boon that you asked for. So that's how she has 5 husbands. So in this particular case, in the case of Lakshmana, the challenge is even more, very similar to that of Draupadi, but it even is stronger. Why? In the case of Draupadi, at least the reflection was stable in the waters. In the case of Lakshmana, it was boiling oil. So you have to somehow figure out where the fish is in that reflection. On top of that, when the fish is moving in another direction, there is a mosaic, like a net with the carvings and all that stuff. It's rotating in the opposite direction. So now, not just you have to figure out in the reflection where the fish is, but also not hit the mosaic, but your arrow should be able to go through the mosaic, that particular net, kind of a carved net shield, which had various spaces in between, should be able to use those spaces to get through and then hit the eye. So various warriors, they tried. Even Arjun tried. And Arjun's arrow was just able to touch the fish, not penetrate the eye, just touch. And everybody glorified Arjun for that. Like, oh Arjun, you were able to touch. In the previous case, in case of Draupadi, he was able to pierce the eye, but this is much more difficult, even for Arjun. And at that time, when after all these warriors had tried, Lord Krishna went and just like a plaything, he picked up an arrow, put it on his bow and pierced the eye of the fish. So sometimes people glorify Arjun, he only saw the eye of the bird, but here Arjun is defeated by a mile when it comes to Lord Krishna. So in every effort, who is number one? Lord Krishna is number one. We all accept this. Yet at the same time, Lord Krishna has won, right? The hand of Lakshmana. And Lakshmana is jubilant. She is elated to see that Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has accepted me as his bride. Yet at the same time, all these warriors, they form a party against Lord Krishna, except Arjun. Arjun is on the side of Lord Krishna, defending his case. And so there is a great war that ensues, and Arjun is able to defeat all these warriors. And because of the Gandiva bow and the Tarkash of arrows, the quiver of arrows. And so he is able to defeat them, and Lord Krishna, he kidnaps Lakshmana in that particular scenario, and he marries. So again, another Rakshasi Vivaha. So the 5 princesses are married to Lord Shri Krishna. And one of the main messages we hear is that it is very easy to take shelter of Lord Shri Krishna. But because we are conditioned from our childhood, which is like a thin rope, and we are now big elephants, we have become so powerful. But because just like an elephant who was not able to break away that thin rope, we still feel that we are not able to break away our ties from our conditioned state. While it is so easy that we just take shelter of a spiritual master, follow their instructions, engage in the association of devotees in devotional service, carrying out our service with the mood of love and gratitude towards Lord Shri Krishna, because he is so merciful that he is constantly reciprocating with his devotees. And this process starts simply with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. This is where the class ends, but please join us for Nasimha Devati. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
मास्टर नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा।